Welcome to Thrones and Scones. It's your weekday morning podcast where we talk Game of Thrones over breakfast. It's Tony Hansen and Jeremy in with you today. I don't change the words up ever, so I feel like I just got to change the voice. Start with a little excitement. We're hitting Season 3, Episode 7, The Bear and the Maiden Fair. Oof. A little foreshadowing a couple episodes back, perhaps. Hi, guys. Happy, what the hell day? Tuesday? Yes. Wednesday.
Nope.
Nope.
It's been a bit.
Tuesday.
It is Tuesday.
It's the middle of the
Fuck
week.
me.
It counts. Right?
Yeah, they just blend together at this point.
Yep.
Well, I tell you, we're also tackling Cherry today. I've butchered this intro the past 2 episodes. I'm sorry for that. I'm letting you guys down.
It's all right.
Kind of like posting scones inappropriately.
Don't say like I did it.
You haven't done it yet.
I mean, I have done it in the past, but
Yeah, I think Jeremy's.
I'm like a solid 50% at this point.
Yeah. Jeremy's
doing
just
so
goes
well.
rogue with that. He's the wild card.
you never know what you're going to expect. You should follow us on Instagram, @Thrones and Scones. But should we get into the episode here? Would you guys like a little refresher with the wiki here?
I would. I think let's hit that wiki. I'll give you an easy one. Let's just do a little Australian maybe. Go down
all right.
under.
All right, so I have a trigger word for my Australian accent because you can't just jump into it. You're going to get it wrong. So you got to set your embouchure correctly. And, of course, everyone knows the
Let me guess.
the
Let me
word
guess. Let
for
me guess.
that. Yeah.
And it's probably it's the fact I already know what it is. I feel
Yeah, you
like.
know what it is.
Is it Keith Urban?
Keith Urban, yeah. Gotta say Keith Urban. All right. So, Keith Urban. Danny exchanges gifts with a slave lord outside of Yunkai. As Sansa frets about her prospects, Shay chafes. Shay chafes is a stupid fucking grammatical thing.
Fucking
Don't
retard
break
put that in.
character, Tony.
Sorry. Oh, so sorry. Apologies, mate. Shay chafes at Tyrion's new situation. Tywin cancels the king, and Melisandre reveals a secret to Gendry. Brienne faces a formidable foe in Harrenhal. Harrenhal. I don't know how you say that. Harrenhal, probably. All right. There you go. The Bear and the Maiden Fair.
That's a good one.
I spent so much time trying to focus on how to read it that I didn't pay attention to a word that I said, so I don't know what happened in this episode. And I don't know if you guys ever get in moods like this where you just decide that you're going to write in cursive for whatever stupid ass reason. I can't read any of my notes.
And that's why they don't teach the kids cursive anymore.
Yeah, it's because it's terrible. We should be typing, really, but yeah.
My handwriting is just a constant random mix of
Yeah, mine is too.
there's no word that I write that stays either in cursive or print. It's just some weird hybrid.
Do you have like specific? Because like all my H's, all my F's, all my like B's and L's, those are always cursive.
Yeah.
Really?
I think mine
My F's always is cursive?
Yeah. Well, not like the typical cursive F, but like a forte sign almost.
Okay, yeah.
Like if you're
I'm okay
into
with
music,
that.
like you do that, but like I never pick it up. I never pick the pen up.
But like an S, if you do the weird S, like the 2 loops.
No, I didn't say
No.
S.
Oh, okay. I thought you said S. I was like, oh, that's a weird one for me. Or if you did R's or Z's, like Z's.
Oh my god,
No.
yes. Cursive Z's just shouldn't exist.
Z's exist.
So I always do cursive E's, and I think that's because my last name's terrible. And I just scribble through
yeah.
them basically.
Like,
The weird ones that I kind of wish I didn't do, but I'm for some reason just stuck, is I always do cursive. I'm trying to think now. I always do cursive R's, which
too.
looks terrible.
Horrible.
And I always do
Yeah.
cursive, which to make it much worse, I always do cursive N's and M's. But I'm so bad at it that it just ends up being random like humps. Like there's no like consistency to it. Sometimes my N's are 1, sometimes my N's are 2, sometimes my N's are 3. I don't really know. It's just whatever I'm feeling that day.
Well, I'm going to try and decipher things here a little bit, as I do, to try and pick out the good from the bad. What'd you guys think of episode 7? Where would you like to start? Somewhere bad, somewhere good? You tell me.
So just from mine, I think a good place to start would be with Arya, because I think last time we were kind of like, kind of bored, not a lot going on, and we kind of continue that.
We do a bit. She yells a lot. She gets into some fights with Barrack, and as her kind of story winds down in this episode, something does happen, and then immediately, dead ends or cliffhangs, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it.
Right.
She escapes.
She escapes, and then Sandor clicking, grabbing her. Mm. You're like, why is he waiting? Right? Like,
yeah,
he was free.
Yeah, that's a great question.
It doesn't make sense. He's
not that far from the camp.
Right, exactly. It's like he was let go the night before, right?
If not
more than that, but we have no idea of time passing. But for some reason, he's like 30 feet away from the camp, waiting in the exact location that she's gonna run by.
It's a little
weird.
It is a little weird.
It's a little dumb. But
hey. Yeah, so the Hound has Arya now. We'll have to wait until next episode to see if that's a good or a bad thing, or what the hell's gonna pan out with it.
But they don't make it seem like. I don't felt like in this they are like, oh my god, he's gonna kill her. Like, you don't get that fear, right? Like, it doesn't.
No, I don't think so. I think us as viewers know that he doesn't really have, malicious intent.
Even though he likes to kill.
It's the fact that he gives that off to everyone else. Yeah. He does love killing.
He loves killing. He tells everyone.
He likes everyone to know that he loves killing.
Yeah, and he likes everyone to know that they love killing.
Yeah,
that's true.
You love killing. I love killing. We love killing. Let's go kill.
Whether they've killed or not, he's just really obsessed with that.
It's very true. I've noticed this season that we get a lot of duality. So a couple episodes back, we get Jon and Ygritte in the little hot water having a moment, and then we get Jaime and Brienne in the hot tub having a moment. In the last episode, we start with Sam and Gilly around a fire, and then we move to Bran and Osha and Mira around a fire. In this episode, we kind of start off with, it's not the first thing that we see, but when we get to the wildlings, it just opens up on Tormund giving this weird sex lesson where he's like, most men fuck like dogs. And then he's like, oh, you gotta treat her right and slow and blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, okay. And then they just get up and walk away and continue on with their shit. And then it goes into Marjorie giving this weird sex lesson to Sansa, where she's talking about Tyrion's quite experienced, maybe you'll love her. And, God loves Sansa, who I think they pretty much killed her innocence at this point, but she's still like, did your mother teach you this? Yes, sweet child, my mom taught me all about these sexual things, you doughy-eyed ditz.
Yeah, in King's Landing, when I think this is where Bronn was talking to Tyrion about why are you so gloomy? You get two ladies, right? You get to have your child,
you're right.
And then you can still keep sleeping with Shay because who's going to stop you from doing that, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Maybe Shay, probably.
Perhaps Shay. It's my least favorite moment of this episode, Tyrion's conversation with Shay. I understand to an extent. They seem to be implying a lot because Bronn says it, Shay says it, that Tyrion kind of has a thing for Sansa Stark, but I never get that vibe from him, and I don't know where that's coming from.
I don't think anyone does.
I don't.
Even in the next episode, you still don't get that.
I didn't like that either. I don't really know why they keep saying that, and it just all becomes creepy. And I think like you said, I don't think it's this might be the episode, but with Sansa's only 14 too. Why would Tyrion be interested in that?
Right, and then
he never acts. He never acts interested.
No,
I agree. Yeah,
and he doesn't going forward, so I don't really get it at all. But we did ask a while back now at this point if, I think it was when we were introduced to the character, does Shay have this kind of disassociation from Tyrion from the get-go? Is she just kind of playing him? Or is there a point where she decides that she doesn't love him and she makes the decisions that she's going to make down the road? I still don't know, and again, we're building up to this, but I think if there is a turning point, maybe it's right now. Maybe it's this whole wedge in their relationship, because you're just kind of seeing her being blindly mad for, I'm not going to say no reason, because that's, trivializing this thing that I get would be a big thing for her. But she seems to just be unwaveringly upset about this thing that he really had no control over.
Yeah, I agree. I think usually when in a situation where your boyfriend is getting married to someone else, I would definitely qualify that as a wedge in your relationship.
Sure.
It
To a child.
It at least complicates things, you know. So I mean, I don't blame her for that. But I
Right.
mean, come on, get over it. Am I right?
You are right.
Yeah, and I think the fact that she likes Sansa is even more disturbing for her. Like, it's not some other person. It's someone who she's kind of befriended and protected and all these things. So I think
Yeah.
there's definitely, like, you're saying duality. I think that's another part of, like, finding the balance in her life that she's really struggling with, because she clearly loves Tyrion, has said that to him, you know, very much views their relationship as much more than just, you know, a prostitute and a lover kind of thing. And he does too. And up until this point, there's been no doubt of where his feelings kind of at. And then suddenly she feels like, well, suddenly you get told by one person, nope, you can't do this anymore. And now you're going to listen to them, but you didn't listen to your father prior, right? You brought me here, even though you weren't supposed to. And yet, what's changed? I think she struggles with that as well.
And
Yeah.
I'm to argue that point too a little bit, where maybe she's kind of starting to change here, or her, you know, this is kind of the last straw or the turning point for her, where she ends up turning on Tyrion a bit. Trying to be a little spoiler free here,
I know.
as we always try on Thrones and Scones. But anyway, I think I would argue that too, and I know I have to jump ahead an episode or so to make this point. But when Tyrion and Sansa do get married, and then Tyrion spoilers, yeah, and then
It happens.
the
It
night
happens.
of their wedding, Tyrion
Spoilers.
Shay comes in, and Tyrion's on the chair, and she like goes to clean the bed.
Excuse you. It's a chaise lounge.
Sorry, that was my mistake. And then Shay goes to clean the bed and sees that it's, you know, dry and everything. She does give this, like, she smiles, and she's clearly very happy, and, you know,
Yeah.
kind of. So I think she's
Maybe
still,
she just loves a quality set of sheets.
Maybe she appreciates they're
Were you-
unsoiled.
maybe these are,
Well, I
remember,
think that's what they're going for.
and I don't, were we talking thread counts? A while
We
back?
were.
Maybe
We were
these
trying
things
to,
are just
yeah.
pristine, next level
It's
sheets.
like, ooh, shit. Is this Mirish cotton?
Damn. What did we say was a high thread count? I already forgot.
Like in the real world?
Yeah.
Is it like 600
like
or
800,
900?
900,
Yeah,
like
okay.
probably is topping out. I don't know. It's.
I'm
not
sure
a
you can probably
seamster-
buy
a
something like
seamster.
1,000 or something ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, probably. Well, I have. I think we talked about it. I have sheets I got for Christmas. It says 1,100. There's no way. Like, they're not good. Anyway, that what I have to lay on now at night, I would argue on par with what Theon Greyjoy is going through.
So similar.
As his teasing and torture continues, this time with like the most obvious ploy ever, and he sees it for what it is, but he kind of gets into it anyway. And on the one hand, I'm like, well, what was his ulterior option here? It's just these naked women grinding on top of him. I mean,
Okay, I'm
get
sorry.
into it or get out. But
He's getting tortured for what we think of days, maybe even weeks straight, right?
It's got to be
And
weeks
yet-
at this point, right?
And then suddenly
don't
two
know.
chicks walk in. He's like, "Oh yeah, no, this is believable. I'll let you see my penis." Like, no thought outside of that.
we want to see it, Lord Greyjoy. Heard the tales.
He's like, "Yeah,
Is
yeah,
this
yeah,
a
yeah."
thing? I mean, was this something that's because Ramsay brings that up too? Like, I wasn't aware that Theon had this legendary penis.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I think maybe they're just saying like,
I
you
think
know,
they're fucking with him. I think they're
he
really
gets
just,
around.
Yeah.
but-
Okay.
He sleeps. He tries to sleep with his sister, for God's sakes. I mean, like,
Didn't we see it at one point? I can't remember.
yeah. Remember, it was
We
the
did
one.
see it at one point. It, was our first penis
it was the
of the show.
flaccid penis right after, like.
Was
Remember, it was
I
like
can't-
instant flaccid.
I'll have to go
Yeah.
back to the episode.
We should just
to
rewatch
review.
that.
Was legendary a term we used to describe it?
It was not.
Okay.
It was not.
Just wanted to clear that up.
It was not. Good call. Good catch there.
It wasn't even
Yeah.
ball forward.
Speaking of his sister, by the way, Theon, played by Alfie Allen, who is the brother of Lily Allen, who's a British singer. I don't know if you guys know Lily Allen. She's
I
had
don't
some
know.
hits. Lily Allen was
She-
offered the role of Yara Greyjoy and turned it down because she would have to basically get fingered by a brother.
That's
So,
fair.
as
Is
you
she-
can imagine.
Is she related to Gary Allen?
The country singer?
Yeah.
I'm not certain, but maybe.
Maybe. There's a
I think that we
chance.
can only reasonably say yes.
What about Barry Allen?
Duh.
Probably, right?
Duh, yeah. So we still don't know who Ramsay is. We still don't know where they are. I guess we don't learn that for a while. Do you guys think that you can tell what mood I was in when I watched this episode? I have a couple more passive-aggressive notes. One of them says, seems like there are a lot more wildlings than there were who climbed the wall. There's like just 2 dedicated people to carry the deer, and then there's like 8 people just kind of walking, and then all the named characters that we had already been hanging out with John and Ygritte and Orl and Tormund. Did they climb separately? Did they go around? Were they already there? I'm not sure. Maybe they were hiding in backpacks or stuff. They're a bunch of contortionists. I can't say for certain. And also, what I might have found as the biggest plot hole in the whole series, you guys notice how nobody ever opens wine on this show? It's always just around in an open,
Container.
non-sealed jar. Like, that goes bad, right? Like, are these people drinking off wine all the time? Or is it just, is it implying that every container of wine is, like, replenished on the daily?
Maybe it's just we're just seeing. They're just in there. They're decanting before they're drinking. Obviously,
Of course.
the only
classy.
thing I'm gonna say about that is I can't imagine that the winemaking processes, whenever this, I guess I don't know when this show is set technically from a year standpoint, but clearly technologically, I doubt their winemaking processes are that sterile to begin with. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of thinking their wine is pretty off in general.
Does that have to do with, I don't even know if sterility is the word I want, but like, isn't it just oxidation?
Yeah, oxidation's gonna rip that sucker up, no doubt.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't even know if they're gonna notice, given the just probably
Oh, that's
complete
yeah, that's a fair
amount
point.
of just like it's probably like 25%, 50% just straight bacteria at this point.
Yeah. And I made a note of it in the next episode, but since we're already talking about wine, why is we know that beer exists, we know that rum exists. Why is everyone getting wine drunk? It is the worst kind of drunk.
Especially
From what
red.
standpoint,
Especially
though?
red wine drunk, right?
Red wine drunk.
That's horrible.
It's
That shit
it's
sucks.
not a comfortable drunk, and it's the worst hangover.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hangover part is no joke.
I love red wine. Oh my god, it's so good.
I'm not a big wine guy.
Oh,
Never
No.
been.
you will.
No.
You'll get there. Get some
I-
good red.
It seems like I feel like if your palate is to the point where like you can appreciate the nuances of whiskey, and you don't like wine, you're not gonna like wine. Like, no.
This may be a
I
fair
don't-
point. I don't. Yeah.
I can also say I wasn't drinking the kind of scotch that he was drinking at 25. So
My thought process on it has always been that maybe I just haven't given it a fair go yet.
Yeah.
you
That's
probably haven't.
I haven't really tried that many wines.
Mm.
So I think that's fair.
Game of Thrones wines in stores now. There's a Chardonnay, a Cabernet, and a red blend. Get yours before they're gone.
Yeah, it'd be like me saying I'm not a whiskey fan, but I've only had Dr. McGillicuddy's.
Oh, or saying, yeah. Well, as you guys know, I am a whiskey connoisseur. My go-to, of course, being Southern Comfort.
There you go. There you go.
Of course. Shall we? I mean, if you guys don't want to, we don't have to. But I was thinking maybe we should look at this episode of Game of Thrones. What do you think?
I mean, there's a
think so.
couple other things we could talk about in this episode.
Okay, go ahead.
So the best part. Let's bring it to, of course, still my favorite characters in this season. Jaime, Brynn. We are getting them now, which this leads into my topic. So we can.
Can you say her name again for me?
Brienne.
Just curious. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did I not say Brienne?
I thought you said Bryn.
So
Oh.
I'm thinking we actually need to get like a buzzer, like a so that way every time Jeremy says a name wrong, we don't correct him or say anything. We just go and then he gets a couple chances to get it right.
All right, I'm gonna try to remember to do that.
Brienne. Yeah, so I'm just gonna bring this up. So for me, I talked about this last time with.
I'm getting the finger.
I talked about this last time in the sense, if you're watching the show for the first time, do you think Jaime loves her?
Loves Brienne?
Yeah.
Nah.
No.
Not yet, at least.
What? Why else would you jump into a pit with a bear?
Well, I think that he has this, like, there's an intimacy to their relationship. I don't think it's love necessarily, but, like, he's got a good connection with her, and she is the one person who he's not only opened up to, but who has reciprocated in the way that he didn't necessarily think people would. Like, she, being this very honorable person, understood what he was saying and understood where he came from, and she, she accepted that and kind of changed her perception of him. Which is, I think, a barrier that he didn't necessarily would think would get broken down. So I think that he holds her in very high regard. I don't think that means he's in love with her.
No, I don't get that at all from their relationship at this standpoint.
They do imply it later, for sure. Or they try to imply that other characters think that it's happening.
Right, and I think that's kind of like watching this over now. I get that intimacy, and I think maybe I'm just misinterpreting that, but I really feel like what she does for him, allowing him to be Jaime instead of the Kingslayer, right? And she understands now him as it. That's much more, I think, relatable for him than anything he's ever had with other characters, his sister, and I feel like that becomes a better relationship. He still trying to do well with her, right? By telling the story of the Isle and the what was that? Sapphire, right?
Like the Sapphires.
The Sapphires, and realizes that kind of sabotages her. So I think the honor thing going back, but then the jumping in with the bear, like I just feel like that's like that leap moment that she profoundly gets of like he's willing to risk his life to save me. So I don't know. I think that's just maybe that's the romantic in me a little bit. That I feel like it's a good story. It's interesting to me.
I remember it being a bit more like climactic when I saw. Like it kind of fell a little flat for me. The bear scene. It was so quick, and I don't know what I wanted to see, but it was a little bit of a. It was whatever. It was okay.
Yeah, I thought it fell pretty flat too. For me, and maybe again. I don't know. I thought this whole episode kind of fell flat for me, and I don't know why. I was watching it pretty late at night, so I will disclaimer with that. I was probably going in and out a little bit, dozing off on the couch as I do sometimes. But yeah, it was just kind of static. It just it didn't really. I don't know. It didn't. Not a lot of high points, not a lot of low points. Just kind of a
middle of the road,
point to point episode for me.
And again, it's funny how often. I mean, Daenerys is ungodly hot, but we never talk about her when we're reviewing these things because I feel like we're in Yunkai, is that what it is? Or
we've made it to Yunkai at this point.
Yeah, so again, an interesting point with the slaver, with them kind of being witty with conversation of like he's like, well, I have these powerful friends, you can't threaten me, and she's like, fuck you leave your gifts, I will threaten you.
Yeah, she totally does.
But even it's interesting, but I still feel like it's so slow with progress that you really don't get hooked in the way that we have in some of these other stories.
You know what? I'm okay with it at this point, though, because what they're doing is they're not doing a ton with Dany. They're making decent enough progress, but they're also not lingering like they were in season 2.
Oh, God.
Like when they're not doing anything. So we don't see much of her, which I think is why I don't really write anything down about Dany.
Yeah.
But like she comes in for a few minutes, she does her thing, we make plot progress, and then we bug her off to something else. Which there are cons to that as well. I'd like to see a little bit more of that story, but as long as they're not doing anything with it, don't show me.
Yeah, I mean, she's real. I mean, really, it's being hammered that if you're a slave, I'm gonna free you. That's the overarching thing right now, and I will do what other people may consider, lunacy, to make sure that I free these slaves.
Yeah. Also, Jeremy, it's my favorite part of the episode. I didn't want to give it to them, but I figured, you know what? I'm trying to pretend like this is my first watch through. I'm gonna give them their moments to be happy. Who's pregnant?
Oh, with Talisa. Yeah.
Talisa is pregnant. Yay. She's having a kid, and she does not have the Dothraki technology to tell whether or not it's a boy. But, you know.
I mean, she's
she
going to
knows
send
that
a
she's
raven.
pregnant.
Everyone knows. And Nessa's going to be like, it's a girl. Yeah. I think I should block that out, obviously, for things we know in the future. I don't.
We don't want to spoil the sex of the baby. We don't do that here on the. Because obviously we know when it's
Yeah, for sure. Also Talisa, when we discover this, she drops it in I don't know, she could have put a little more effort into the birth announcement, but this is the age of Instagram. Maybe she didn't have that creativity back then. She is basically writing a letter to her mom in Volantis, and it's discovered in conversation that this letter is basically going to include the fact that she is now queen and pregnant and married. Like, could you imagine just being, regular old mom, your daughter's a nurse, and all of a sudden you get a letter, and you're like, oh, like,
congratulations.
I guess.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's very, very nice.
Yeah, the whole marriage wedding, it moves quickly for them. So,
yeah, very, very quickly for them.
I mean,
yeah, I didn't have a ton on this episode. Our good, bad, and juggly moments. We get some butt action with Rob and Talisa, and then some full-on, pretty intense nudity from Miranda and Violet. I think
there's your duality for you, Tony. Both two butts.
two butts.
Talisa and Rob.
That's true.
They like showing their butts. They showed their butts last time too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I like looking at their butts.
Yes, they are fine.
Anything else before we move on to, of course, the baked good portion of our show?
I don't think so. So technically, is this considered the episode where Theon gets his
castration
junk removed?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, it's not shown.
I think that's what they at the end.
Yeah.
When the guys are holding him down. Yeah.
It's considered the penisectomy.
I would think that this is indeed the penisectomy.
Okay.
Ugh.
Versus
Gross.
a penisotomy, which is putting a tube in a penis. I'm just gonna put that.
Sure. Yeah. We appreciate the clarification. I did not know.
Sure.
Ectomy to remove, otomy to put a tube in. So it's kind of like putting a demon baby inside of the penis. That.
Yeah. And doing a penis into me. That's a whole different Saturday night. On a similar note, I have a cherry scone today. It is from Cheryl Loesch Studio in Quincy, Illinois.
That sounds classy.
Sounds fancy.
Yeah.
Fancy
Cheryl
scone.
Loesch Studios.
It's moist. All right. That's all I got.
Yeah.
If you would like to...
kind of non-traditional for the scone pastry, right?
Which, hey, as a throner, I appreciate a little bit more moistness in my pastry.
There you go. Uncharacteristic.
Indeed it is. If you guys want to hit us up, thronesandscones.com has all the links to anything you could possibly want, including our social media and every single dang episode. Of course, you can find us wherever you like to listen to podcasts. But if you're already hearing us, you probably know that. We'll be back tomorrow with Season 3, Episode 8. Are you down with GOT?
Yeah, you know me.
I don't know if I told you guys this on the podcast. I know I told you. But I'm like making my way through these meal delivery services that are all on sale.
Yeah.
For like 2019.
Are you on Plate now or Plated?
So I did Plated, and now I'm on HelloFresh. Well, I've done Blue Apron and Plated. And now I'm doing HelloFresh.
So,
HelloFresh.
Blue Apron we did for
HelloFresh.
several months. I thought it was pretty good.
It's good. I don't have the budget to pay full price for any of these, so I just keep it until I can not get it for cheap, and then I bugger off. I know that's exactly what they don't want, but I'm going to take advantage of the system while I've got it. But all of these things come.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, on just so I'm aware, I haven't done any of these. On HelloFresh, I take it this is like they send some sort of like, it's garlic aioli shrimp and ginger dressing salad or something, and then some Jordans, y'all. to wear while you're eating.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's what it's like, right?
Yeah, and each box has a link of a chain, and so You can make a full chain after so many boxes
Okay, perfect.
and stuff.
Oh,
and look
that's actually
hella
really
fresh.
good.
Yeah.
If they're not doing that, we need to be doing that.
In our subscription box service, here we have an announcement. Get a different scone every week. So I'm doing these, and they come in these boxes that stay cool for a while, which is good because they're mail, and I work. And so they've got these massive ice packs in it. Can I ask you guys, what does the phrase water soluble mean to you?
Well,
It means that it solubes in water, right?
Yeah, it dissolves in water. I like the verb solube.
Yeah,
he solubed it.
Yeah, I solubed it. So it dissolves in water.
Correct.
So these are massive, huge ice packs that if you were to thaw and put in your trash, it's just thin plastic. Like if it pierces, it's going to make a huge mess in your trash. So it says repeatedly on all the packaging, water soluble, water soluble. So I dumped it down the sink. And don't do that because I had to spend about 2 hours the other day unclogging my kitchen sink.
Oh no.
With a plunger, with boiling water, with baking soda, because it just kind of gets. And then I looked it up, and I guess various plumbing things have varying degrees of success with it. But it's got this weird like applesaucey texture to it when it gets wet. It doesn't dissolve completely, and so it just gets heavy enough to basically settle the water in the U of your pipe.
Yeah.
And so like you can't even if it gets to the point where, thankfully, I was able to take care of it. Like, if you were to try to take a plumbing snake into it, it's going to be able to move through it okay, but it's going to basically be too heavy to fix the block. Like, yeah. So it's apparently it can get worse than having to take a couple hours and basically take a cup and hand bail my water out of the sink. But, real fun. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do with. I guess I'm just going to put them in the trash now, but I'm just gonna make a different
saved
kind
a lot
mess.
of them. They're good ice packs for things. If you're
sure. I kept 2 of them as well, but they're like the size of a box. I don't need more than 2 of them. There's one, if not 2, in every box that shows up. I just, and again, I appreciate it. I know it needs to be there, but I just don't. I don't know what to do with it.
So, I was just gonna totally side note on the ice pack thing. So Jim, you go first. I got something else.
So I was saying, so obviously being in medicine, we get a lot of deliveries with things that are packed full of that stuff too. And we had the same thing. Like we will have like, a delivery, get like 12, 15 boxes, and they all are stacked full of those things. And what do you do to get rid of them? So
it feels so wasteful.
It is. It's a giant waste. So go ahead on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, now that you've had a fair go at some of these services, Tony, give me a quick off the cuff ranking.
Ooh, okay. So I got the HelloFresh box. I haven't made anything yet.
Sure. Okay.
From a packaging standpoint, I think Blue Apron was the best, but they're all very close. Blue Apron and HelloFresh are pretty on tier with each other. Plated took a little bit of a step down, but they're all pretty packaged nicely. HelloFresh is nice because it's like the meats are separate, and then everything else is like in a brown bag. So it's like, oh, this is what you need for this meal. And you're like, okay, I'll just open that bag, and then boom, done. As for the meals and stuff, I think I want to say that they're all of a pretty similar quality, but the Blue Apron meals, and granted, I did these a little while ago, I have reused bits of those recipes. Like, I've got a couple side dishes that I make fairly regularly from those. I've got like a couple sauces that I've used for other things, whereas I don't think I've repeated anything from like Plated yet. So that's quite good. Those, I feel like the Blue Aprons were more in depth. Like they took more cooking time as well.
Gotcha.
So there's perks and
what we
pros
liked
and cons.
about Blue Apron was from the standpoint of like the size and sauces. While sometimes they send you something, they often will describe how to make it. So then like we would make more sauce for the recipe, and we've saved recipes specifically for the side dishes and those things in them.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. And again, like I like that it's kind of like, one of our colleagues at work, she had done Blue Apron for like a year or so, and she brought in all of her recipes, and I just photocopied them all, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is just awesome that suddenly you have, because, I mean, I don't know when you guys are cooking, but all recipes is like, I'll just go to all recipes, look for like the top dinners for the week, and be like, oh, I'll make that. And
Yeah.
so essentially that's what this has done. And the nice thing that was the packaging. I don't think obviously it saves time in the grocery store and is less wasteful, but depending on how many people you're feeding, it's just not, it was never cost effective for us. Like
No, I think I think from a cost standpoint, they're trying to get people who are not cooking because they don't like shopping.
Mm-hmm,
because it's not cheaper than grocery shopping.
Yeah.
And if you're already shopping and cooking, it doesn't save you time or anything like that. Because it's still kind of intensive. What it is cheaper than is eating out. So if you're eating out, unless you're doing Taco Bell, which I do, so it's not cheaper for me. But if you're eating out constantly, this is a way to get comparable food at a cheaper price point.
Interesting.
But we liked it. We liked cooking. I mean, Emily and I liked cooking together, and it was always something that was fun and different. Because even the thing with all recipes, like the part of the thing when you have 100,000 choices, making a choice is impossible, right?
Right.
And so this is like, oh nope, here's what you're doing. You're like, oh okay, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Do they keep them pretty consistent with duration of cooking? I mean, if you grab a recipe, is it most of them under 2 hours, or I mean, is it something where you grab a recipe and you're like, you go to cook and it's like, oh shit, this 8-hour roast?
Oh yeah. I haven't had any roasts or anything like that. The HelloFresh ones I think are nicer about that. There's like 12 choices maybe for the week. You pick whatever your meal plan is. Mine is pick 3, and then they'll say like what the thing is, and there's always one that's like a quick meal. Okay, so like if you want something that's ready in less than like 25 minutes, like okay, there you go. I think they're all around 30 to 45 minutes on average.
See,
like prep and cook time.
I always found their prep time severely underestimating things.
Yeah, well, I think it's if
like,
you can do everything simultaneously, like you really know what's happening, it would take the amount of time.
It's like prep time, 15 minutes. Like 45 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I'm good
like,
now. Shit. And I think that's what ended up frustrating Emily so much is like, because it wouldn't have bothered me to take that long to do their prep for 45 minutes, but it's the expectation of doing it in 10, and I'm like, how the fuck are they doing this in 10 minutes?
Yeah. I think for a couple, and I'm speaking without having to use out ever doing it, I think it would be like a good way for a pair of people to get into cooking, because you could just be like, all right, you do step 4 and 5 and I'll do this. Yeah. And it's like, okay, there are instructions. You don't have to worry about miscommunication there. Although I have misread recipes twice and fucked them up. So
well, Emily would grab the wrong stuff, like it, out of the bag, and had put things on shelves like in groups to know for meals, and then take a sauce the wrong one, or add the wrong spice, and then you're like, oh fuck it, whatever.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like kind of like you were saying on that prep time, I haven't done it, but even reading online recipes, like you're saying, and Jenna makes fun of me too because I take forever to cook anything, but the prep time would be like 10 minutes prep time, and don't you feel like it's a little like almost condescending or a little like degrade? It's a little degrading, like degrading. Like they feel like you do, whoever wrote it's like just like a little better than you because you're doing it and you're like, I can't get this done. I can't get this done in 10 minutes. So when I read it, it's almost like prep time 10 minutes. You dipshit.
If you're not a pussy.
It's like boil the water, dice all your vegetables, and then make your sauce, and you're like, Emma's like, it's been an hour and 5 minutes. You haven't even started cooking the meat. But it says prep time 12 minutes.
Yeah. And it's so funny. It's like my podcast time now, though. So I have been listening to exponentially more podcasts since I've started cooking all the time.
Nice.
I mean, I only listen to ours on repeat, but if I wanted to listen to other ones,
over
I'd have plenty of time
and over
to do
and
it.
over again.
Also, these meal prep services are like always the first things to sponsor any podcast, and now that we pit them all against each other, we're never going to get sponsored. No. So bye, potential money. I missed you.
Yeah, now that they know Jeremy's just taking their recipes and Xeroxing them from a friend or whatever, now we're really screwed.
Photocopying. It's not the 90s. Okay?
Sorry.